Hi there. This is gonna be a bit of a different reading. Not going in with a specific subject. I'm just going to pull cards and see what comes out, but it's kind of a, I want to say shadowy reading, an underworld reading, a Hades vibe. I don't know why. But I was called to use specific decks that have darker imagery? I don't know. Because we have this deck, and then I'm also going to be using my Murder of Crows deck, which I love, and I'm probably also going to use my deck that I designed, and then we'll see what else, but yeah, there's definitely, I'm probably going to use my Kali Oracle as well, because there's definitely Kali vibes here. So, let's get into it. Ooh, that was exciting. Oh, Seven of Swords. Interesting. I feel like this deck is how are you lying to your, or deck. I feel like this reading is gonna be how are you lying to yourself. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. That's a lot. Oh, the star. Okay. We taking it all. There's a lot. Oh, that was it. Excuse my stars. All right. Okay. And then we will do the bottom of the deck. Page of Swords. Okay. So right off the bat. So yeah, it's like there's some ways that you're lying to yourself. And as we are a collective, that means that I am lying to myself in the same ways. Anyway. So we have Page of Wands, the Star, Death, the World. So, like, that's 3 major arcanas all right in a row, too. Then we have the Ten of Beasts, which is the Ten of Wands. And we have the King of Cults, which is the King of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm getting the energy of this relates to your transformation. This relates to tapping into your power. So this is about ascension. This is about stepping into your spirituality, and your role in your spirituality. Because, again, we are a collective, so, like me, there's leadership ahead for you, or there's leadership you're meant to step into. Now, that can take a ton of different forms, and it's going to be different for everybody. I think, for me, it's actually, at least currently, this channel. Not this channel, but this YouTube channel. Doing readings is what I'm saying. It's doing readings and channeling messages is the thing that I'm personally stepping into and being told to stop, to see clearly and stop lying to myself about. And going off of my own energy, the ways in which I'm lying to myself is imposter syndrome. So, honey, wake up. You are so much more than you're giving yourself credit for. Oh my gosh. And it's interesting because the Murder of Crows deck, like, it has such dark imagery, which I actually love. And it's interesting because I got this deck at a rather dark time in my life. It was a dark night of the soul, and this deck is like perfect for that because despite the dark imagery, the messages, the way the cards' meanings are written in the book are so deep but gentle in a way. So I find them very uplifting. In a dark and mysterious way. But this deck has been so powerful, and I don't pull it out often, but when I do, whoo. So let's get clarifiers on this story here, where you have a tremendous amount of power within you. I mean, the fucking star came out. Knight of Pentacles. Three of Wands, Eight of Wands. Interesting. The Eight of Wands just came out in one of my other readings on a very similar subject. So you... Four of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. Stepping out of your comfort zone. That's good. And I think that's... Oh, my God. Okay, we're just going to take this one. Everything else is going back. So it's the Queen of Cups. Yeah, that's a lot of intuitive energy. Mastering your intuition. Mastering your emotions. Leaning in to your intuition, I think, is a huge theme for you. And for me, Three of Swords in reverse. Nice. Good energy. Love that. Knight of Wands in reverse. Okay. Which is interesting because I think the Knight of Wands came out in another... Oh. No, that's the Page of Wands. Okay, anyway. So. I'm going to get one more layer with my deck. The Shadow Mirror deck. Because... Oh. Chaos. That's me. Chaos. Anyway. Yeah, so this is my own deck. I designed it specifically to be a bridge to the subconscious, and all the art and imagery is meant to, because it's entirely black and white, it's meant to connect to the subconscious and help bring forth things you're not so aware of. Okay. Hierophant. Not taking all of them. Okay. If any of those want to come back out, they can. The Magician. Justice fully came out sideways. You. Page of Pentacles again. Oh. Everybody wants to come out. Nine of Swords. That's not surprising to see at all. Five of Cups in reverse. Hanged Man. Okay. So there's a lot of depth and nuance here. There's a lot of, one, you need to trust your abilities. Two, the more that you trust your abilities, the more abilities are going to come in. Which is interesting because literally last night when I was driving home, I was kind of tuning into something that I hadn't before. Because it was like, I was very rapid fire, like I would think about something, it would happen. Like I literally was driving the road and I thought something about a cop and there was two cops right there. Like immediately after that. Within seconds, and it was wild. But this is an ability that I've had before in the past that kind of shut down. Oh, okay. I see what I'm supposed to talk about here. So when I was much younger, I had a lot of abilities and they scared the absolute shit out of me. I couldn't handle it. And I mean, we are talking when I was a child. And I'm going to try to make this a long story short, but I know there's stuff in here that you need to hear, so it won't be too short. So bear with me. So when I was a kid, I was extremely in tune to a lot of things. I was in tune to people, and I was in tune to the energies. I was in tune to spirits, and I had visions, and I didn't know that they were visions, and they scared me. a lot. But I would, and I still do, I can look at people, and what I see that seems to be on the surface reflects some deeper parts of them. Like, I can look at people and immediately see kindness. I can look at people and immediately see manipulation, that they're somebody who will be manipulative or is manipulative. That's coming out weird. Anyway, I can see these qualities in people, but also I can look at photographs of people and I see things in their faces other people don't. Like, some people will be like, oh, what a nice picture of so-and-so smiling. And I'm like, that person is in pain. Like, I will see a very marked expression of pain on someone's face in a photograph that everybody else looks at and they're like, oh, they're smiling. And I never understood it until recently, that these are just part of my abilities. So I see things in people that other people don't. And for a long time, I didn't know what that was. But I have distinct memories of interactions with my mother where I freaked her out and made her panic, and she kind of went on the defensive, attacking, told me things like I was crazy and I must be on drugs, and, you know, all these kinds of things. She spewed a lot of negativity at me over me expressing things that came from my abilities that I didn't realize. So it was like I inadvertently put a voice to things she was thinking, which made her panic because she hadn't said them out loud, but yet I was responding to them because I picked up on it. I almost forgot about that page of Swords in Reverse. And, like, look at the dude. He's impaled on all of these swords. Then there was also, like I said, I would see visions. So, like, fully awake, I would go somewhere and do something, like open a box and see something that wasn't there. It kind of horrific at times. I had clairaudience. I heard things all the time. And I was constantly so in tune with all of the energies. If you have any kind of empathic abilities, you know what I'm talking about. And I was a kid and I couldn't cope with it and I had no guidance whatsoever. And I shut it down. I closed the door firmly. And I feel like the reason you're watching this reading and that I'm talking about this and that all these cards came out is that you did the same. In some way, you had abilities as a child that you shut off. And you're in a place now in your life where you are rediscovering them. You're unburying them. You've arrived at a place of stability that is enabling you to face them again and to see them for what they are and not be afraid of them. And further to, you know, what my situation was, is there were many times in my past that the door started to crack open and I started to see things again, started to experience things again. But what I'm understanding now, because the way that I'm seeing things is so different from how it used to come through to me, is with improved understanding and connection to the energies, to, you know, the spiritual realms, things come through more clearly, and it's not going to be tainted or tinted by the lens or filter that is coming through. So essentially, when I was younger and not developed, things came through in a way that I found scary. Whereas today, it wouldn't come through in that way because I'm not seeing it through that filter. You know, I was a traumatized kid and kind of at odds with the world, like, at all times. I really didn't have a safe space anywhere. And when you're operating from that foundation, or lack thereof, I basically didn't have a foundation. everything feels like it just tilts on its side when your 3D grounding is questioned by things coming in from other realms. So as I grew, you know, I distinctly remember times in my 20s and in my 30s when the door would crack open again. And it was a little, can we deal with this? And unfortunately, the answer was often no. You know, I would start to have visions. Another example is I was riding passenger in a vehicle and we were coming up on a curve and I just suddenly was like, dear, slow down. And he did, and we came around the curve and there was a deer just standing in the middle of our lane. So I would have moments like that. But unfortunately, I would also have waking nightmares, kind of. Terrifying daydreams is the best way to describe them. Like, I was tapping into things and they were still coming through a filter that made them horrifying when they really aren't. It's like seeing beneficial spiritual energies as if they are dark entities when they're not. And a lot of it for me was like alien imagery, which is really ironic, given kind of how we see like starseeds and aliens and all this stuff. And I don't like using the term starseed because of its origins, but there isn't a better way to explain to people what I'm talking about yet. So when I use the term starseed, the only thing I'm saying, like, I'm not saying people who have alien ancestry that are better than other people who don't, because I believe every single one of us has been incarnated on other planets. So like, everyone's a starseed, whether they believe in it or not, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm getting off track. I'm being paranoid. Anyway. So yeah, at the time, it was coming through in scary ways. And so I shut it down again. That was in my 20s, my like early 20s. And later, there were times again where things would just try to like poke their head in, be like, hey, how we doing? And I'd be like, thankfully, when it happened in my 30s, I was more comfortable with it. Honestly, in my 30s, it feels like I more just didn't have time because I was dealing with so much in the 3D that I really just couldn't even look at the energetic realms. But I did a lot of personal development. And now I'm finding that the door is kind of wide open and a lot is flooding through. And it's not scaring me anymore. And it's really just information. It's, you know, everything is energy, everything is interconnected. So these are just layers on top of reality. So, you know, if you had that experience, and, you know, I suspect maybe if you're finding this video, you might be in the beginning stages of that door starting to crack open and you might feel a little fear surrounding that. Don't worry about it. Reassure yourself because you're good. It's cracking open now again because you're ready, because you are in a position where you can handle it. That's why this is being given to you now. So if you do have any of those residual fears from the past, you can release them. And if you need help releasing your fears, one of the methods that I recommend is just asking your guides, ancestors, angels, whoever you work with, to help you through that process. And truly, and I've just been learning this myself, like, you can just talk to them. You can talk to them in your head. It's better if you talk to them out loud because it's more concrete, more intent, but either way it does work. Just say, hey, you know, I feel like I'm struggling with this. Can you show me how to handle it better? Can you, help me better handle it, from the back end? Can you help me kind of upgrade and lean into this? Like, whatever comes naturally to you to ask, however you want to say it, or whatever you feel like you need from them, just go ahead and ask. And you can even ask them to tell you what you should ask for, because maybe it feels like there's too many options, it's too nebulous, you don't even know what to say or where to begin. Which, I feel that way a lot. It ties to, I think, my neurodivergence. And I don't know if you can tell, but this channel is kind of geared towards neurodivergent, sensory-seeking people. That's why there's all the lights and my favorite fidget. Oh, that's gonna make a funky noise. Well, it stopped fast. Okay, good. Anyway, so I'm really being called to the Hanged Man right now, because the way that I designed this card, he is not just hanging from the tree, but he's staring into a pool of water. And his reflection, the way he sees himself, is in chains. But he is not actually in chains, as you can see. He's just hanging and holding his arms behind his back. So there is a degree here of holding yourself back. And you're being asked to look at that. And I want to read some of the Murder of Crows cards here, because like I said, the meanings in the book are very profound. Let's do the Knight of... I've literally opened the book on it. The birds may squawk at the rider to pick up their pace and bring the horse to a gallop, but their mind is set, and their steady step will not be altered by these angry croakers. This one can be relied on to see the quest through to the end. They will journey into uncharted realms. While they gaze at the horizon, their wise spirit keeps them safe on the ground. They will follow the certain route to victory. There is a nobility in taking the straight track and turning a blind eye to distraction. So, this is, it's the slow and steady course to get to where you want to be. It's also... Yeah, I'm seeing the sense that maybe you felt like in the past when you weren't able to deal with this, face this, when you shut it down, when you turned away from it, you felt like you went backwards. But it's like a ratchet. Like, you inch forward, you don't go backwards. It's still steady forward progress, even if you stop. But it's important to remember that when you stop, when you pause, when you shut the door, or did in the past, you weren't going backwards. You were staying at that place, just not progressing further. So there's definitely a message here about not beating yourself up about that, but also now that you've accepted this, there is going to be quick forward progress. You will be asked over and over and over to step outside your comfort zone in regards to this. And that can be in a lot of ways. That can be literally just sitting with it. It can be talking to people about it. It can be doing something like I'm doing. I'm starting to do tarot readings and post them on YouTube. I've also started doing them for my friends and people in person, even though I was really uncomfortable with the idea of that. I was honestly uncomfortable with even talking to my friends and people I know about my spirituality. That's actually been something that I've always really kept close to the chest because of fear of being mocked and rejected over it. And it's, part of that is because my spirituality is pagan, ish. It feels like something that has been so taboo and so ridiculed and mocked in society, and that's part of why I didn't want to open up about it. And there's also this thing I carried for a very long time, and I know where this came from, so maybe you have this too, especially if you grew up around the time of the Satanic Panic, where maybe you grew up in a household where things like all the other spiritualities besides Christianity were flagged as, or denoted, I'm not thinking of the right word, but you get what I mean. They were labeled as evil. And it's really evident how much I've grown through that, because there was a time that Pentacles put so much fear into me, even just seeing it. And yet here I designed a deck and drew a bunch, which ties to a very specific memory with my mother that scared me so bad about Pentacles for a long, long, long time. But, you know, I think if you think about it, you've grown a lot through your... That was a weird way of putting it. Over time, you've grown a lot, and you've worked through a lot of those past energies that really held you back from your powers and your abilities. So you're going to start seeing those show up more. And I want to read this book's definition on the Queen of Cups here, because like I take her as leaning into your intuition, mastering it, but I want to see what this says. The hall fills with the sounds of feasting and merriment, and the light that the warm hearth fire casts curious shadows about the room. I read that weird. Majestic in repose, she possesses a quiet mind and an open heart. She can drink in your pain and distill wisdom from it. Kindness is the balm that she offers in the raised goblet. It has the power to wash away the ugly dirt of the world. She fills your glass and your heart to the brim, knowing that both have felt empty for too long. And it's saying that she's a healer, and also that this is about unconditional love. And that makes a ton of sense because, and this might be the most important aspect of this, and maybe why the justice was sideways. So, part of what's really important for you to remember as you go through this process of rediscovering your gifts, of sitting with them, talking about them, using them, expressing them, and sharing them with people. Most important here is the sharing of them with people, because you doing so is healing to individuals, to the world, to yourself. And it's something that the world needs from you. Whether you realize it or not, the world needs you to be the magician. It needs you to release your past fears. It needs you to release your past heartaches. It needs to release your past struggles so that you can fully see the magic. It needs you to be on this path of discovery, of letting go, of seeing yourself clearly. Yeah, and like the King of Pentacles in reverse is like, you know, normally the King of Pentacles is incredibly stable and seated in his own power, and you've been kind of the opposite of that. You've been operating from a place where you don't know your own power. You've been operating from a place where you're in denial of your own power. That's basically what you've been lying to yourself about this whole time, is that you even have power at all. And it's not even just spiritual power, it's personal power. So for a very long time, you've been denying your personal power in every way, and seeing yourself as this impaled guy, basically. Seeing yourself as just food for the vultures. Easy pickings. Kind of a victim mentality, for sure, is part of this. But, you know, a lot of these cards are here saying that you are stepping out of that, you know, because we have the Star, Death, and the World. And, the Hierophant, who is wise and who is a teacher. You have the Magician, who knows his power and holds his magic and uses it. So that's the energy that you're moving into, I think, now. You may even have had... Okay, interesting. So, see the world here? See how it's cracked open? One, that's reminiscent of the lightning bolt in the tower. But two, this is like your egg cracking open, as well. like, and that imagery is actually slightly repeated here. So it's like, it's funny, the tower did not come out, but there's tower energy here. I can feel that very much, like, but it's like a hidden tower. It's like a, it's like the death card on the bottom of the deck. Yep, transformation. So it's very much this energy that you are currently transforming, and it's very uncomfortable. And you're feeling all these calls, you're feeling all of this. We want you to do this, move this way. We want you to release these things. And you've been going through so much of that, that what you really need now is peace and clarity, and to be able to settle in to this new space in which you find yourself. Because I think you've made the transition, the transit, like an astrological transit. Like, they take time, but you've done that part. And I think you haven't quite seen yet that you're here, that, you know, you're here. And that you're ready to start acting on it. You're ready to lean in and trust and be this new energy that you're being called into. Like, you're good, whether you see it or not. I want to get a message or 10 from Kali. Chaos. That's me. I'm chaos. Anyway, besides the point. So, let's see what the mother has to say. Because I take, personally, Kali as very divine mother energy. Like life and death all in one. And I leave the artwork up, because the artwork on these cards is stunning. She's like the ultimate guide, but she's also going to cut away those things that don't serve you. She's not unlike Hecate energy in some ways too. And I work with Hecate as well. It's funny, because I'm the kind of person, like, I've been in so much in denial of all of my gifts that I have really never consciously sought out a deity to work with, or deities to work with. They come to me. They're like, hey, trying to talk to you here. So yeah, I've gotten called to by Kali and Hecate and Isis, Demeter, Nyx, and several more. Yeah, so let's see what Kali has to say. So this is the first card that came out, and it says, it's time to release the true nature of certain life circumstances. Be grateful for what you have learned, but see things for what they are rather than what you wish them to be. You shall be able to recognize, process, and prosper from the truth, and do not need to fear the revelations that are unfolding. That makes sense. Second card, and I'll discuss these a little bit more in a second. You can trust that is what, this is perfect. You can trust that what is happening now will give way to a new expression when the time is right. That right time will be the best time, when your readiness matches the requirements for success. Attend to your work with determination and hope in your heart. Trust that the divine is taking care of everything else. Your progress is spiritually protected, and there is a sub-message here that you are spiritually protected, whether you realize it or not. And I think that's really important and helpful when you're digging into some of these energies, especially if you found them scary in the past. And also being told, like, that's another thing you can just reach out and ask your angels, guides, ancestors for, is like, hey, this is freaking me out a little bit. Can you surround me with light and protection so that I feel more secure to dig into it? And you don't even necessarily have to dig into it right that second. Just let them do their thing, and then when you feel ready. And then the third one is this gorgeous card with a lotus. which is funny because there's a lotus on this one too. Held within Kali's protection. What did I just say about protection? Your heart radiates peace, certainty, and beauty. Her grace melts frustration into inspiration, fatigue into replenishment, and overactivity into effortless attraction. Kamala is the golden pathway of divine protection and peaceful contentment. She empowers your heart to receive with the same generosity, openness, and grace that you express when you give. You are swiftly approaching sacred fruition. So, all three of these cards are saying, yes, things have been and are shifting for you now, and it can be a little scary. It can be new territory. It can feel weird, but we are with you, and you are protected. This is for your highest good, and it's going to be a really incredible, beautiful future for you when you can really lean into these powers, these abilities, and your true self. So let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Kali overcomes karma, realigns us with our path when we have veered off course, reverses the momentum of negativity, and detaches draining energy cords, restoring us to full vitality. It may seem like your will is being thwarted or you are not getting what you want, but the goddess knows what she's doing. Her actions will benefit you. Trust. So again, that just ties right in again to, you know, as this process began, you might have been uncomfortable about it, scared of it. You might not have been happy about it. But you are called, and I feel that you have trusted. But you're being called to trust that, you know, your guides, your goddesses, your spirit team, they're not going to lead you astray. And they're not going to bring these powers to you, and it is power. But they're not going to open these powers up for you if they were to your detriment. Like, it's not here to harm you. Even though it can feel, I'm going to use the word terrifying because at times it has felt terrifying to me. Even though it can feel that way, and it can feel really disconcerting and almost like, am I crazy? Am I losing it? You're not. And I've wrestled with that too, which makes sense. We're all on the same frequency in this collective. So, you know, I feel there, where sometimes you're like, this is unhinged. I feel unhinged right now. I can't believe I'm saying, doing, thinking these things. Like, what even is life? What is reality? What is going on? I've been there with you. And it's tough. It's not an easy energy to sit in, but when you can sit with things feeling, how do I want to say this? It takes a tremendous amount of, hiccuping all this air up. It takes a tremendous amount of courage and self-trust to defy the three-dimensional world, essentially. Because we are so mired. I always say mired in muck. That's what the 3D feels like to me. We're so stuck in these mentalities of, you know, our senses. What we can see, touch, taste, feel, hear. And anything in our internal world automatically feels unreal to us. So it takes so much patience and self-trust and love to turn inward and to say, you know, I believe that the experiences happening in my internal world are not just me making shit up. That's really what it comes down to, is, you know, that's where that, I don't like the term crazy, but colloquially, I don't know what else to really use there. Like, I used unhinged, but even that word I don't really like to describe people with. But it's that feeling that, you know, have I fully lost touch with reality here? Or am I going to, by exploring this? And that's definitely a fear that was driven into me when I was a kid. So I could see that potentially being the case for you as well. So like, I forget where I was going. It takes courage to have all this stuff happening in your inner world and to say, I know myself. I know what I'm experiencing is not just my imagination. I know I'm really seeing things, I'm really hearing things, I'm really encountering things in the energetic realms, not just in my own head. And from our perception, it's going to look like our own head. That is inevitable because it's like where the realms connect. So you have the three-dimensional realm, and because our eyes are positioned directly in front of our brain, we tend to see the seat of our consciousness of who we are as being right behind our eyes. And this is because we see through our eyes, and sight, what's visibly in front of us, is one of our loudest senses. It's typically, for humans, the way we connect the most with the world around us is through observing it visually. More so, I feel, than any other sense, at least consciously. Like, I think our touch, feeling, is a big one as far as, feeling into our body and stuff. But yeah, I think, we see the level of our eyes as being where we sit consciously. So you have the body beneath that, and then above that you have the other realms. And, so that seat of consciousness right behind your eyes or around the third eye is where I'm struggling to pull this information through into the 3D, into words. Because it's like a concept I can see in my mind, but I can't quite put words to it. Which is a constant struggle. So it's like you have this point of singularity between, here's the three-dimensional world and here's all the other realms, the energetic realms. And because the 3D world is so loud and so heavy, it feels more real. However, there is just as much connection and stuff going on and information being received from the energetic realms as there is from the 3D. But because in the 3D, everything except for your mind is tangible, physical, measurable. Actually, measurable is the biggest factor here, because something being measurable is basically how science can even observe it. So it has to be measurable in some way. And everything in the energetic realms isn't very measurable, certainly not by instruments created in the physical, because they're not the same universe. They're not the same world. They don't operate by the same rules. So necessarily, everything in the energetic realms is separate from everything in the physical realm, even though the physical realm is actually just a level of the energetic realms. But it's the heaviest and the most interlocked in terms of energy being really brought down into these concrete forms. I'm not explaining this well. But anyway, my point is, it is so easy, because the 3D world is so loud and tangible and carries all this objective comparison with other people. We can all objectively agree that these cards are physically here and we can all touch them, that kind of thing. I mean, obviously not you in the video, but you know what I mean. If we were sitting face to face, I could be here, take this card, and we'd be oh, this is definitely real. Whereas if it's a thought and telepathy, there's no measurable way for us to say for absolute certain that here's a thought. You know what I mean? All these things that exist outside of 3D matter are not provable within 3D matter, and we've gotten ourselves in such a space that we rely on things being provable so that we know or trust in their existence. And because of that, anything that in the 3D we distrust is its existence. So that's where the courage comes in, to be able to say, I do trust this. I trust my perception. I trust my experience. I trust my own knowing. And that's really the leaning into your intuition, is going, I have experienced this in the energetic realms. I know it to be true, no matter what anybody else on earth says. And that's hard. That's an incredibly difficult thing to do. Believe me, I've been working on it. It flies in the face of everything. It flies in the face of other people and their experiences. It flies in the face of science. It flies in the face of what we consider to be knowledge and education. Like, it's so hard to lean into it and talk about it to other people for that reason, because you never know who's going to simply be like, no, you're full of shit. And in their fucking perception, maybe you are, but that's their perception. It's not really technically part of your world. So this is a difficult journey, but you have support. You do have your angels and guides, and I know it's ironic saying that because you all interact with them through primarily the energetic realms. But that's where it can be helpful to ask for signs, and ask for very specific signs within a very specific time frame, or, ask for weird coincidences. That's actually what I get a lot, is those like strange synchronicities, like one person will say something and then someone else somewhere else will say like the exact same thing, or stuff like that. I'll see a truck that says something and then I'll see it on YouTube, that kind of thing. Or I'll just all day long keep coming across dragonflies for no freaking reason. So find ways to help yourself trust. Ask your angels, guides, ancestors, goddesses, and gods for ways, guidance to help you learn to trust your inner world more. Because, and this is the biggest part, is when you look at your inner world, it's not actually inside you. Like, it is from a physical standpoint. It appears that it is inside you, but the reality is the physical is what is inside you. And you're looking inward to look at this. So you're actually looking outward when you think you're looking at your inner mental world. And that's the paradox. That's the weird part, is the energetic realms is everything out there, and this 3D reality is what's in here. It's small, it's heavy, it's like a little marble that you're staring into so hard that you can't see anything else. But, the energetic realms are literally everything else. It's everything other than this. It's so expansive and so huge, and there's so much more there than you realize. And that's kind of what I was trying to get to by explaining all of that in my long ramble. Am I at 50 minutes already? Oh my goodness. Thank you for sitting through this. Hopefully it's been helpful. But yeah, so that's where you're meant to be looking. Is you're meant to be looking out there into the energetic realms and realizing just how massive they actually are. Because as big as our universe is, it's just a drop in the bucket compared to everything else. There's literally so much we could never get bored exploring every inch of it. There's so much for us to learn, so much for us to see. Oh, that was a huge yawn. Ever since I started using my throat chakra a lot, I've been yawning like crazy, especially when I'm called to speak about things. So yeah, I think that's all I have for you now. Thank you for bearing with me. I know that this has been lengthy, and it's been even lengthier for me because this is actually the third reading in a row that I've done today. So I've been sitting here for a couple of hours, and I need to go eat lunch and do something else with my life right now. But to be fair, I was called to do this. Anyway, I hope that this helped. Thank you so much for joining me and sitting through all of this. And you know what? If you made it through the whole thing, put a star emoji down below so I know how many people actually sat for this whole thing. Thank you so much. I love you all, and I will catch you in the next one.